I want to do a quick video um, on some serious stuff. I've touched on this a bit, but I've got a little more information on this. As I've talked about before, I live in a very left town that has a lot of transgender people, and a lot of stuff goes on in this town um, with gender ahead of the curve in most parts of the country, but slowly working its way across the country. And I want to talk to you a little bit about some things that I'm concerned about that I've seen firsthand in my town. And But first, let me tell you something. So I went to my daughter's cross country meet yesterday, and I competed in sports my whole life. I played football in school. I played a little tennis. Basketball is my main sport. I played in high school and in college. And as I played, I the discrepancy between men and women and their physical presence and abilities and strength and speed and all that stuff, lung size, body mass, is very apparent in the contact sports that I played. Um, and seeing women play, other less field hockey next to me and sometimes basketball, just the physical presence is just blatantly obvious that anybody can tell. But I had never been to a track. I did do some track. It's some long jump and a little high jump and sprinting in school, but I'd never been to a cross country event. And I watched my daughter's cross country event yesterday and watched the women race the track and the girls, and then the boys race the track. And I didn't think there'd be that much difference, in stamina stuff, but it's even very apparent in long distance events. I watch the girls and then I watch the boys, and the boys finish minutes ahead of any girl. And this idea, this crazy notion that men don't have an advantage over women in sports at every level and almost every category is insane. It was blatantly obvious to me yesterday. I didn't think it would be so obvious in cross country, but it was very obvious. And this is their justification. They have many justifications to allow males in female spaces and in their sports, that there is no real advantage, and it should be done because they belong in sports. But they're just discounting the whole idea that those are actually males, biological males, competing in these sports. And it was clearly apparent. So that was just a side note. But now I want to get to the main point of what I want to talk about, which is this idea of kids as early as kindergartners literally being led down the path to doubt their gender. I had seen little signs of it in my town, but I've talked to more and more people of the pediatricians in this town that were literally asked these kindergartners what their gender is. That is just wrong in every way. It has nothing to do how you feel about being transgender. It has to do with having conversations with children that you should never have at that age. Never. Because we know children at that age are very malleable, they're very impressionable, they're gullible. They believe in the Easter Bunny and all these things, Santa Claus. We've talked about this before. And to take the authority of that person, the power, the knowledge, the wisdom, and put that on a kid to make them doubt their biological gender is just wrong. And it goes on. I talk to people about it through my YMCA protest, and other people that actually have transgender kids and have talked about how other people have been, if parents have talked to them about that not making them happy. And actually, at the Boston's Children's Hospital, this is tough for me because my daughter goes to this hospital. They do gender surgeries, basically mastectomies. I think they've done close to 100, at least 70 at this point, or 80 or something, on kids that as young as 14 years old. I mean, if you're going to get gender surgery, at least wait a while. Wait a while. Wait until the idea, maybe you can't even drive at age 14. You can't even drive a car at 14. You can't drink at age 14. But we're putting the power for these doctors to do this, and it's just wrong. And these teachers in these classrooms have these discussions, have the pediatricians plant another seed of doubt. A lot of times it's the ones that are non-binary or whatever, and they got their purple and their green hair, and they look so cool and and I don't know, fantastical and just captivating. Oh, I want to be like that, and they associate that with being transgender or non-binary, and it's just wrong to mislead kids to think that's what it's about. It's far more than that. And to have these discussions, in these classes, in these circle times, I mean, I just thank God that my kids were not at circle time with this gender ideology that's being taught and actually secretly taught in cases so parents don't know about it. That's just wrong. I don't care what you believe in your politics. I could care less. But taking that in the classroom, for one, that's a parents discussion. That's not a teacher's. Birds and bees out of the classroom, ABCs and 1, 2, 3s in the classroom. It's very simple, especially at that age. I mean, I could go on like this forever. And another thing, it's interesting, and think about this about gender ideology. I know I'm switching to another topic real quick, but it's all interrelated, y'all. It's all interrelated. There is a constitutional law in the Supreme Court that made it illegal to talk about religion in schools. And it makes complete sense because it is a belief in your head. There's not a lot of proof of Christianity. There's some in Jerusalem, there's a Shroud of Turin, there's all these things. There's the Bible, which I think is a great proof. I'm a Christian. And though I am a Christian, I think it was right not to have religion taught in schools unless it's a private school. That is their choice. But public schools, no way. So why is it okay? Tell me this, folks. Why is it okay to teach something that is basically a belief in your head to kindergartners? Why is that okay? They're both beliefs. Yes, one has a God, but both of them in your head. And there's more proof of God than there is proof of this gender ideology. I can promise you that. There are billions of people in this country, in this world, that believe that, and documented evidence all over the place, from Bible verses, from all sorts of things. I'm not an expert on this, but the gender ideology is no proof, and biology is totally against it. It makes no sense. And if you I've talked to a lot of gay people and bisexual people, they're not happy about this either, because in essence, what is going on? You're erasing their sexuality, because now your sexuality can change in a second. It's not you're a man attracted to men or a male's attracted to male. You can change that, and suddenly you're not gay anymore. Suddenly you're not lesbian. And taking away the gender of females through their, like we're talking about, their spaces and sports and private spaces, on signs and everything, and just slowly diluting it. You've got this, basically this liquid of like milk, and you just keep diluting it with water, keep diluting it with water, and eventually it doesn't even taste like milk. It's just water. And water is everything, but it's not. Females are a definite thing. They are milk. Okay? Males are, I don't know if this analogy work, or some other thing. They're something totally different. They're orange juice. They're totally different. I mean, I guess they aren't orange juice because there are some, some similarities. but they definitely are all everybody definitely in all water. And I don't even know how I came across this analogy, but it kind of has some reference. But the point is, the number one point I want to get this, we need, regardless of how our politics are, to quit having these conversations with impressionable, gullible, easy malleable children whose brains aren't even developed yet. Because right now, more and more and more people are coming out as non-binary. The numbers are doubling every generation. It used to be a small amount. Now it's 20%. By 2045, like Bill Maher says, it could be all of us. We'll all be gay or transgender or something. No straight males or females anywhere. It'll be all this thing. And the reason this is happening is because, like anything else, peer pressure's tough. Peer pressure's tough. People like to conform. And when you got a teacher jamming this in your head, and they put stuff up in the classroom with this beautiful flag that has all these colors, and they wear this pink and green hair, and this impressionable kid sees that. And my daughter kind of went through this stuff a little bit. I let her make the decision on her own, but I let her know, this gender ideology is not just pink and blue or green hair. It's a very serious decision. So take it seriously. And she took it seriously. But half of her friends' family have a family member that is now non-binary, that has actually switched their gender in a matter of years. Half. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And all those kids went to these woke schools here where I live, and went to these doctors that say these things, and these gender affirming care. It's interesting, these words, they come up, gender affirming. It's so soothing, like a massage. Oh, gender affirming. Well, the reality is these gender affirming care is double mastectomies. It's vaginoplasties. It's attaching artificial penises. It's shaving off your arm to make it. It's all this stuff that they don't want to talk about. They just want to call it gender affirming therapy. And they're great. They got a great PR firm work. Man, I could have used them when I was writing some copy when I was in ad and PR. They got some great copy going on with this, with the inclusivity and equity and the point of one other thing, the point of a woman's locker room, just in case didn't know, is exclusivity. It's not inclusivity. It's not like, hey, come on, buddy, come on in. We're going to come in the locker room, everybody. No, the point is exclusivity. So this argument of using inclusivity towards women's and men's locker room is just wrong. It makes no sense. It's the exact opposite. It makes no sense. So, I've talked about this a lot. I will continue to doing these videos. I'm going to continue to push this out here and give you my firsthand experience. I'm not going to give you experience that you see on the web, because that can be twisted. It can be from a biased source. I'm going to give you things that I have seen with my own eyes and witnessed and talked about myself. And I'm going to point those out to you and let you realize that this wave is getting bigger. And it may only be in my small woke town, but it's getting bigger. And we got to start speaking out about it, just like I am. Man, I get so much crap in my town. I don't care. It's for my daughters. I could care less what you say about me. You can say whatever you want. I'm speaking up for the future of my daughters. Nothing matters better. Nothing on this planet matters more to me. Nothing. Taking away their spaces. Just in the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've been to 4 places that now said that my daughters have to shower with males. I left 2 of them. The other one I couldn't leave. It wasn't my space. They're at my daughter's high school. They try to hide it from you to say, unless I actually used some words. I didn't tell the whole story to get my daughter's teacher, gym person, to tell that that's what they did. And, And then these doctors in our town. I'm going to have a talk with our pediatrician, and I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out for real. And if I find out that that pediatrician is not doing that, I will let you know that too, because I want the truth out. I don't want this coded truth that goes on with the left in a lot of terms. I want the truth where it's beneficial to what I'm saying or not. Because I don't want doctors to have these conversations with my kids. That's what I want. But they are doing it. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you, just like I'm going to tell you, like the places in my town, like the YMCA, Northampton Country Club, that allow males in female spaces, and in some cases in spaces where there's no privacy for anybody whatsoever. And if these females complain, they are shouted down, called transphobic, hateful, intimidated, like bullies in my school. And they'll try to shout you down. But this is the time we cannot. That's exactly what you do. Because if they get you to be quiet, then more and more will be quiet. And it'll be like a Gestapo, neo-Nazi sort of thing. Clearly not to that level, but the same concept. Quiet you by slandering you and intimidate you. That never worked for me, never has my whole life, and it's not going to work now. So it's key that we start doing this stuff, that we start stepping up. I mean, I talked to a woman at the YMCA in my protest, of them to actually just come clean about their locker rooms, come clean with the sign that says women and says men, when in reality, every space coming straight from a director of another YMCA in town, in my area, is an all gender room, all gender locker room. So it's a lie. It's a lie because they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know because you will complain, and the more and more people complain, the more backlash and the more it will hurt their membership. So they keep it on the down low, and then individual people say something, and they get somebody that gangs up on them by themselves and calls them transphobic, takes away their membership, calls them hateful, in some cases tries to attack them, just to shout them down because they don't want the truth out. I'm here to get the truth out. I mean, like I said, I talked to a woman the other day when I was out there. I've been outside the YMCA 4 or 5 days. I go at different times during the day. I have an hour or so here and there. I have 2 daughters. I run a business. I run a household. I got a dog. I got a lot of stuff going on. So I just get in there for an hour, sit in there. But every time I'm there, there's somebody there to remind me, not what you think, that I'm supposedly transphobic and hateful because I'm looking out for my daughters and the females of the world, but I should be standing there, that they thank me. They thank me with a whisper from their car. They do this. They say, thank you. Some of them come up, they come in the window and I say, thank you. It's about half and half. And in my town, which is way left and very woke, if there are that many in my town, I can't imagine. I mean, there are probably a little more that are hateful towards me for standing there. I mean, there definitely does. And there was a woman, I think I've talked about this before, but there was a woman the other day that was in the locker room that very, like 20 minutes after she met me. She was in there with her daughters. They were changing for swim lesson, and there was a male. She said a male. There was a man in there getting changed as her daughters was, and she was not happy about it. And she was livid. I had to calm her down. There was some woke dude on the side trying to twist her words, and she was getting mad as hell, and I was trying to calm her down. And this guy who's just living in another land where he doesn't even buy biological science of males and females. I mean, how can you even talk to somebody like that? How can you even talk to somebody like that? There's no male, there's no female. It's just this anarchy of gender in his mind. So I've tried talking to guys. So anyway, he's in this woman's face. She's really mad. And I'm trying to calm her down, trying to get between these two and calm it down. And I was able to get a little bit. But the interesting thing is she was friends with many transgender people. She's more liberal than me for sure. I mean, I know her a little bit. I'm going to say more of a moderate is what I am. she's more liberal. I mean, but in this town, I guess in their mind, I'm a Trump supporter, which I'm not, but I would call myself a moderate. But anyway, so she actually has many transgender friends that were really not happy about this too. So there are actually a lot of transgender people and many bisexual and gay people that don't like what's going on. They don't like it at all. And they're starting to speak out more and more. And because they're speaking out, because like I said before, their sexuality and their genders are disappearing too. And the interesting thing is Christians, fundamental Christians that are completely against homosexuality and bisexuality and certainly transgender and this gender ideology to a really extreme level are going to end up being on the same page on this because they're both going to be being attacked. Their gender identities are going to be attacked. Their sexuality will be attacked. And those two people are going to come closer together and have things in common. They're already doing it. But realize this thing is real and they will try to shut you down. They've tried to shut me down every way I can imagine. Twitter, gone. Instagram, gone. Nextdoor, gone. Any petition I put up on change.org that actually makes it where people are aware of what's going on at the YMCA is taken off. That's happened several times. I've given up on Twitter. I've given up on Instagram. They just cancel my account. It doesn't even matter what I post. I don't even put in my name in there and they take it away because they don't want me to tell people. They have no justification. They just say, all they say is you disobeyed the policy, company policy. And the policy is so vague. And the policy, one more thing we'll talk about. The policy at these high-tech companies, at Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, all these are decided and actually controlled not by the employees or even executives. They are controlled by a board of directors. And this board of directors that runs the company tells us they have a political agenda. So they are the puppet masters of the Pinocchio. And the employees, executives have to follow through because of the bylines. I don't know a lot about this stuff, but I've saw a little bit on it. I'm a really smart guy, and it made a lot of sense because he's an executive. I can't remember his name. I'll try to tell you another video, but he had a really interesting that I didn't even think about, and I'm trying to tell y'all about, is these board of directors. So it's not the company themselves, is having these directives handed down to follow these political agendas, mainly leftist ideas, to where they have to be instituted in these corporations like Twitter and stuff. And they come through in their rules and regulations. And then the employees and the CEOs can wash their hands clean of it. And the board of directors are just doing their job, doing what the shareholders want, and they're majority shareholders. So it's all worked out. It's all a plan. It's all masterfully done to where they make it seem like it's all well and good. But we all know it's all well and good because we see what's going on. I'll talk about this more another time, but I got to get back to work and other stuff, I hope y'all have a good day and check out my website, dadfedup.org. And hope you join my rise to help not just my daughters, but your daughters, your sons, your grandsons, your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, all these people in trouble, a lot of trouble. And it's starting right here, and then I'll continue to point these things out, y'all. Have a good day.